Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Not Fade This podcast. My name is Joshua Reimer, joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Jared Block. Jared, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
Yeah, we're busy today. Loaded slate, 15 games, all 30 teams playing. We got a lot of
Yeah.
southpaws on the card. That's something I noticed right away. Over a third of the slate is left-handed starters, so that'll be a fun topic of conversation. But furthermore, we have some nice weather on the board. We got a couple of implied team totals that are really, really strong on paper. So I feel good about what this slate brings to us. And we saw a bunch of home runs last night. So on our topic of conversation from yesterday, I think that prevailed true. And on top of that, I didn't know if you saw this come across your timeline, but in a few different spots, I saw that today is the highest projected home run total on the slate so far this year.
Yeah. 30, was this right? 13th? Yeah, 37 home runs yesterday over the span of 10 games is pretty amazing. Now, I think it's an outlier type of day. I
Yes.
pray to God you guys don't go out there and go bet players to hit two home runs and try to parlay them and everything, because I promise you it'll not work out well for you at the end of the day. It was a very weird night in terms of a bunch of guys hitting two of them, a lot of bad pitching performances. We talked about it. It was really hard to find an ace yesterday, and that kind of proved true. Even the aces had troubles. We saw Crochet absolutely implode in the first. Lots of fun stuff yesterday to watch, and it was definitely a good slate overall. Hit the Gunnar Henderson stuff, went back and forth between Corbin Carroll and Will Warren as my ladder, ended up landing on Warren, and at least he catched the baseline before absolutely imploding. So, yeah, good stuff overall. Very happy with the performance yesterday, and hoping to continue smashing today. Oh, did you see my Jake Berger call in the rundown?
Yeah, I saw that, and like it's one of those spots where it's just gonna burn you because you said that you were very pumped about it, and then you just couldn't back it because we like to check a billion boxes before we give a home run lean, and that was just one of them where, like we'll mention on the card today, there's probably a few of them that were like that. Yeah, he ended up hitting a bomb for you, so that's
Ended up hitting two.
two bombs. You're right. So again. Yeah, like also did you see that and I say this as I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on the show because I do think that there's a lot of good offenses today, but we had 8 of 10 games go over the game total, which is again something that we don't
Wow.
normally see. The two games that fell short were the two night games, and obviously one of those is in Sacramento, which was already juiced to high heavens anyway. But yeah, lots of runs on the slate yesterday.
Lots of runs on the slate yesterday. Definitely potential for a lot of runs today. Jared, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get into it and start talking about some weather.
Yeah, we got a few spots that are really nice for hitting. That kind of showed us last night was the same thing. So we do have some nice hitting weather in Camden. Temps in the 80s. Winds are blowing out slightly to right center. We also have nice hitting weather in Busch Stadium, which normally at this time of year I took a look at what the general statistics for April would be. We're well above, like 10 to 15% above normal hitting conditions there. Temps are in the 80s. And then the winds are blowing out to left at 12 to 15 miles an hour. Busch normally is a pitcher-friendly park, and now it is put in a hitter-friendly situation comparative to normal. From there, you got a few spots on the slate that I will include Atlanta also as a nice hitting-friendly stadium today. There are a few spots that do profile well when it comes to temperatures and wind, but there's a trend today specifically where there's a storm system that's hitting the Midwest and there's a storm system that's hitting the East Coast games that could stop games from finishing. I'm optimistic, and so is Kevin Roth, who we go off of 4 info all the time for MLB. And I'll name these four stadiums, and they all have the same relative risk of games if they get into like last night where they go and play like close to 3 hours, we might see some issues with the rain. Those stadiums are Guaranteed Rate for Chicago White Sox, Citizens Bank Park for Philly, Comerica Park for Detroit, and Yankee Stadium are those four stadiums that could feature some rain late. I'd like to be more optimistic and say that we get full situations here, but I think we have to wait a little bit further to make that final call.
Yeah, that's something too that like we may, well, hopefully by the end of the show, at least Jared and I, when we're talking, we'll get the updates. But hopefully by the end of the show, we'll see some status updates there. Hopefully some of them can get a little bit more clear overall. All right, anything else here? If not, let's go to top implied team totals.
Nope, we can move on.
All right, let's head over to top implied team totals, where we talk about the top implied team total offenses on the slate and discuss whether we like them or not. And the first one is going to be an interesting one, Jared. I'm excited to talk about it. It is the Pirates as they face off against the Nationals. They have a 5.6 implied team total, zero point 0.4 higher than anyone else on the slate. Over-under for the game is at 9.5. Pirates are minus 184 on the money line. And the reason that this is an interesting conversation to kick us off today, Jared, is because we know that Miles Mikolas is going to pitch for the Nationals, but we got news this afternoon that there's going to be an opener in front of him. We haven't had a chance to talk about openers on the podcast. I've had a lot of chances to talk about it with members in the Discord just because we've had a few over the weekends. But give me your thoughts here. What do you think?
As the season goes along, you'll hear us say for the majority of these situations that we're likely to pass on a lot of this stuff. And now, every now and then, there will be choices that you have to make that don't necessarily check all of our boxes that we follow in our systems. But this one is one where I think this is the first time that we're actually tested because I think we faded most, if not all, of these bullpen to bulk situation, starter, yeah. So the opener to bullpen situation. So this is not like a traditional bullpen game either. Like, just so you guys are aware, we fade those completely. This one is one where they're specifically using PJ Poulin to get through a lefty heavy top of the lineup, and then Mikolas will come in after that just because he's been so fragile in pretty much every capacity. Poulin does not have a start. He's had some spots where he's pitched multiple innings in relief, but he has not gone further than 4 outs in any of these opening situations. So while he might enter the second inning, this is one where I don't know. I'm kind of. We just saw Pittsburgh put up double-digit runs last night. This offense is clicking against right-handed pitching. They're the 4th best team in that regard over the last 2 weeks. And the top of the order is just riddled with some of the hottest hitters in baseball. So when push comes to shove, I tend to just side with the fact that I'd rather rely on a few times through the order against Mikolas. And it's not like Poulin has necessarily been absolutely shut down either. I know he hasn't allowed that many earned runs. He's at 4 on the year off of relatively like 7 to 8 appearances, but I don't know, man. I think when push comes to shove, Pittsburgh is not going to change their projected lineup or actual lineup to reflect this. And I know that I'm kind of rambling here because we are going to say in a lot of these circumstances on the podcast that we'll fade an offense gladly in this situation in some circumstances today, though I just find it hard to say anything negative about Pittsburgh other than this.
Yeah, I feel like overall I'm definitely the one that's more aggressive towards the fading of opener situations compared to where you are with them most of the time. I this one's still a tough decision, man. I think you think it's easy, which is perfectly fine. I just am so hesitant on openers. I've seen so many do so well over the years that I find it really hard to target against them. With Mikolas, I know how bad he's been. I know how bad the Nats bullpen is. I know how hot the Pirates are too. Like, I think that's something that a lot of people aren't talking about is that like we've seen a combined 20 runs or more over the past 2 games. So like the Pirates are absolutely cooking right now, and that just adds another factor into things that you have to calculate for. Like I said, I'm happy that you're covering and not. Or I said it in the Discord. I haven't said it to you yet. I'm kind of happy that you're covering this game and not me because I would be kind of up in the air on where to be on this one. And I'm glad you're on a strong side of it because I'll just back you at the end of the day here. There's so much to. For those who don't know what an opener is, because I think it is if you're a new bettor in MLB, it is kind of like a foreign term. It's essentially when you have a bullpen arm pitch 1 inning before your starter comes in, and then your starter plays a bulk relief role where he pitches 4 to 5 innings or somewhere in that range. The idea behind it is you have less at-bats for the top of the order against that starting pitcher. You there's a usual trend in MLB where the more at bats you have against the starting pitcher or against a pitcher in general means the better that you're going to see them in a single game. And so it's worked out really well. The Rays kind of coined it back 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. They've done a fantastic job. It's spread to be a league-wide thing now, and we've seen plenty of guys do really well in this role and kind of thrive in an opener role. Or a bulk reliever role, if you say, for starting pitching. I don't know. It'll be interesting. They're kind. I think this is like last straw for Mikolas. Like I think you're getting like DFA material here at some point. So there's a lot of pressure on Mikolas too for him not to get DFA'd here. I don't know. I think if I really had to choose right now, I would tend to agree that like Pirates are so hot, Mikolas is so bad. You can trust in this situation. I don't know, though. It's always tough. Openers are always tough. Like you said, it feels like rambling when you talk about it, but there's just a lot to consider here. And like you said, most of the time, we'll be against the industry on fading an opener when people will just blindly tail it, regardless of having an opener or not. I don't think people understand just how much an opener means, to how much it brings down an offense's overall upside, especially those leadoff guys.
Right. It certainly affects the guys that see the opener and then they see the long relief guy after that. Clearly, this is a spot where Washington, and I respect them for doing it, for what it's worth. Like, heck, they kind of have to because they just allowed 15-plus runs in the game before that. They did have a series against Milwaukee where there's a lot of offense on both sides. So the pen is taxed. It's one of the worst pens in baseball at this point of the year. And this is a spot where you can't ask Mikolas to just start this game against the top of the order like this. So I don't disrespect the move itself. It is the smartest. It's essentially like you're losing a game of chess extremely fast and poorly, and then you're just going to throw a pawn in front of a queen. So it's kind of how that goes. I can't use Mikolas as a king, so I'll just refer to that as a queen. With that said, though, I do think that there's some we don't have Pittsburgh's lineup yet, so once we do, I think we can circle back to this because I'd love to see what they do. Will they just say, "Hey, we're going to put our normal lefties at the top of this lineup and let it work itself out"? I think that's what they do, but there's also a world where I think I tried to make a case for some of these right-handed hitters who are struggling right now. Like Connor Griffin is struggling. Marcell Ozuna is on one of the coldest streaks in baseball, so if they make this lineup and Mikolas gets to face them twice, then I do think that that's a spot where like you could get a little bit more aggressive on what you feel like Pittsburgh brings to the table, and then from there, like if we get four innings of the bullpen, I think that this is an all-around situation where I'm going to look at it a little bit more positively. But I think what we'll do is put a pin in this for now, and it is the most difficult decision on the slate until we see a lineup and what else they do here.
Yeah, lineup will be really important. If they load up lefties at the top of this lineup, like you can very easily see a lineup of Cruz, Lowe, O'Hearn, Spencer Howard in like the 5 or 6 hole. Then like Ozuna, Reynolds in there as well in that top 6 range. You're talking about a spot where you're going to like either have Mikolas coming against a lefty, or you're going to face Poulin to go like 2 to 3 innings instead and not be like his own starter / bulk reliever. He's gone 2 innings already this year, allowed significant damage in that 2-inning stretch. So we'll see what they decide to do. Will be very interesting there in terms of the Pirates. And that's what, I mean, like they're the only 7 p.m. game that we're still waiting for a lineup on. So outside of Baltimore and Arizona. So like they're clearly trying to game plan and strategize here what exactly they want to do. I think they'll come out with a pretty competent response if I had to guess. Okay. Anyway, we spent plenty of time on the opener situation. Let's move on and talk about the Phillies up next, who get to face off against Colin Rea and the Cubs. They have a 5.2 implied total here. They have a 9.5 total for the entire game, and they are minus 147 favorites on the money line right now. We saw Kyle Schwarber have 2 home runs yesterday. I completely forgot until someone brought it up in chat. We didn't even bring it up. He has like a huge revenge narrative against the Cubs. Like he has to hate the Cubs. Yes. So totally made sense why he had 2 home runs last night. Could definitely see a repeat performance of that. But give me your thoughts. What do you think about Colin Rea here?
See, here's the thing. We just are tasked with 2 difficult decisions on the slate because we know that Raleigh Martin the Southpaw is going to open in front of Rhea today. We know that already, and unfortunately, that is a spot where they have planned accordingly. Rhea has not been nearly as bad as Mikolas. This is just purely a situation where Schwarber and Harper burned this Cubs team last night in a big way, and then now they are kind of tasked with just like, how do we stop this and try to salvage the series? Because if you didn't know, I'll bring it up at some point later, maybe this week or maybe like later or into next week. But this is the toughest stretch of Chicago's schedule. They have to face 6 straight playoff teams from last year. So this is the spot where they're going to try to salvage wins and salvage series, and so they're going to put an opener, Riley Martin, in front of Rhea here to take on Turner, Schwarber, Harper. He's going to try to take those guys out, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, once Rhea gets in there, like I do like Schwarber and Harper again. And I know that the Phillies ended up doing really well from an offensive standpoint last night. Still, though, not a lot of guys move the needle against right-handed pitching that aren't named Schwarber and Harper at the end of the day over 2-week samples. So I can get interested in guys like Brandon Marsh or Bryson Stott, who did get going yesterday, but it's purely a left-handed conversation for me because if you look at Reyes' splits against righties this year, he's basically shut down that handedness in a small sample size. So it is Schwarber, Harper, or bust for me.
Yeah, can certainly get behind that. Definitely a little bit tough with that lefty coming in first, but understand that you still want the upside there. All right, anything else with the Phillies? If not, this is an opener situation where like this gets a lot easier to fade. Like this is almost like a. Correct. I mean, not 100%. Like they're still, like you said, Schwarber and Harper have their own upside, right? But like compared to the Mikolas situation, this decision is a lot easier overall as a top implied team total that might seem a little fraudulent.
Yes.
All right.
With that said, though, like I can't stress to you how good Schwarber and Harper's spots are when they face off against Rhea. Like this is a spot where Rhea's going to throw primarily like a sinker, fastball, cutter trio, and like this is just not going to be a better matchup for those two guys. So could we see another spot where they both hit a home run? Sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move right along over into our next highest implied team total, which belongs to the Yankees. They have a 5.2 implied team total. Over-under in the game is at 9 runs. The Yankees are minus 183 on the money line. Jared, we had a conversation yesterday if the Yankees are fraudulent or not. We lost that conversation. They ended up scoring 11 runs on the Angels last night. Though I will say the primary damage came from Aaron Judge, who we talked about a bunch on the show, and Trent Grisham, who wasn't in the starting lineup and didn't matter either way. So you win and you lose, you take and you give. So Yankees have another spot where they have a high implied team total. Give me your thoughts on the Yanks here.
Yeah, I was trying to pull clips from our podcast yesterday, and one of the top like AI rated clips was that Kikuchi spot, and I was like, can't use that.
Ooh, yikes.
So, with that said, you're basically just running the spot back, right? I kind of went into this in depth on the rundown, so I'll save some and I'll share some. Essentially, like I would like to believe in Reed Detmers long term as an upside pitcher, and I think that he will have some spots where we talk about it in a highlight. He still could in this matchup, though. I do think that you're kind of just running back Judge and Goldschmidt from yesterday. They gave Rosario a better lineup spot as well in this situation. So from that angle, you can talk yourself into 2 or 3 hitters that could do well in this matchup. Think that Detmers, from a strikeout angle, like it's got a relatively league average strikeout rate of 22%, some command issues against righties. The ground ball rate's not nearly where it should be, and so it kind of looks similar to Kikuchi's profile. If you can't get Ks, then you're going to struggle in this spot against some of these hot hitters. Still have some issues against the bottom of the order. Grichuk's extremely cold right now. Some of the guys at the bottom of the order just aren't getting the job done. But yeah, overall, I'm not going to talk myself into playing Detmers at any point here. I think you just run back Judge.
Yeah, can totally get behind it. Don't want anything else here. I think like you could definitely make the case for other spots. Rosario seems like a good option if you wanted to go there. He could have had a big day yesterday if he had a liner out into center field, and Yeah, same with Cabby too. Grechik hit one to the wall out in center field too. That if he hit it to either pole, it would have been a home run. So some of these guys just had tough days yesterday, and the Yankees could have put up like 20 runs potentially. I heard Boone talking about it in a interview earlier today. Yeah, it was a good day for the Yanks offense. I think they can repeat. Detmers is pretty terrible. You also got to mention that like Angels bullpen is taxed. Yankees bullpen is pretty taxed on the other side too, but Angels bullpen is especially taxed right now. And after Detmers, you're not going to see much of anything.
Right. That does expand their upside today. So like, can we confidently like? It's tough to say yesterday because there were so many double-digit offenses. I think I'd put the Yankees, at least the mini stack, like Judge, Goldschmidt, slightly above Schwarber, Harper, because I cannot guarantee 3 at bats for those Phillies in that spot.
Yeah, I think the only thing I worry about is Goldie gonna. He got 3 plate appearances yesterday. Is he going to see the full game? I don't know if he will. I think they were pretty willing to put Rice in there if they really need him. So
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know.
Well, Judge
I'm a little bit.
certainly makes the list over Schwarber, Harper.
Yeah, he certainly does. I would definitely rank him as one of the best hitters on the day. All right, do we want to cover another offense? Do we want to move on? Where do you want to
go? Can we talk about? Because I think it's Baltimore and somebody else.
Baltimore and Houston are the next 2 teams.
Ooh. I think we can save Houston for behind the paywall, and we can talk about Baltimore.
Let's talk about Baltimore then. They have an implied run total of 5 runs today. Over-under in the game is set at 9. They are minus 165 favorites on the money line here. We saw this offense get a really slow start yesterday. They were down 7-1 for a majority of the game until a whole bunch of bats came along. Jeremiah Jackson hit a grand slam. Then Pete Alonso hit a 2 home run. And then, they end up winning 8-7. So it was a very fun game to watch for the O's last night. Give me your thoughts on them as they face off against the D-backs again today.
Yep, they're taking on Merrill Kelly, who is confirmed 100% as the starter because Arizona's lineup just came out right now, and we don't have any data on Merrill Kelly entering the year because he started out on the IL and then in AAA. So, with that said, not terrible in AAA whatsoever. He has had a rougher past year or two, and has been worse on the road in general in those last few years. So. Kelly's going to throw like a 6-pitch mix at you. With that said, like it's kind of tough to argue from, a pitch type standpoint. I think what we do here is we, number one, just attack the hottest hitters against right-handed pitching for this Baltimore Orioles team. We mentioned how good the weather is for hitting, and this game shot out last night and certainly could today as well. I think I just want the main guys here that are doing really well. Like we've talked about Gunnar yesterday. Taylor Ward continues to crush. Pete Alonso had a home run last night that came after the BVP spot, so that was interesting to see him get going. Leo Taveras is hitting well. I know Jeremiah Jackson had that 2 home run game yesterday. That's why his WRC plus brings him into the conversation today. I think I felt a lot. There was more of a clear direction yesterday where we had some significant splits that we could attack. Against Nelson, who actually held his own. And you kind of mentioned that in your intro there. I think we just stick with the hottest hitters. I'm still bullish on Henderson. Still like what Ward and Alonso bring to the table, but when you're looking at top stacks, it's harder to make the case for Baltimore than comparative to other teams.
Yeah, I at least do like the Ward spot though. Like I think it's going underestimated how hot Ward's been. 2+ total bases in 9 of the last 12. I guess I should have saved that for hot hitters, but it's a good point regardless. Like he's been hot. Jeremiah Jackson seems like he's really fallen into form. We've talked about Gunnar plenty. I'm sure we'll talk about him more in hottest hitters. I don't think you need to fully buy into Baltimore, but Arizona's bullpen specifically is really bad against righties. That might have also been induced a little bit yesterday by Jeremiah Jackson and Pete Alonso hitting the 2 home runs. But still, I think that I really like them. I really like Gunnar. I can get behind it. Maybe it's not up there with your top stacks of the day, but it certainly is up there overall.
It's certainly attackable. Like we don't believe in Merrill Kelly, right? Like it's not,
no, we do
bad
not.
At all. It's just more like there's No 2026 MLB splits data, so it's harder for us to fully buy into a handedness. That's why I think you just take the top of the order.
What was last year's? I don't know off the top of my head.
It was more like the Gallon route, where like he allowed a lot of stuff to lefties. Was worse on the road. Was okay against righties.
Yeah, definitely allowed a lot of stuff to lefties. 17 home runs in 97 innings. That's a little overinflated, no? Yeah, 1.58
Yeah.
home run per nine. Yeah, I'm getting more behind the gunner spot the more I look into it. Okay, anything else here? If not, we can move on to hottest hitters, Jared.
Can we just wrap this segment up by stating like you're gonna if you're playing DFS or if you're gonna try to get exposure to the best hitting spots, at least, and this is not 99% of the slate, but I think that like we can confidently say it's a rather difficult top stack conversation, which is why it has taken us so long to get to this point. So, um, fully blindly believing in offenses, kind of like you did yesterday, might not work out the same way today.
Yeah, it definitely feels more like if we're talking in like DFS builds, it feels more like a solo hitter type of day than like or mini stack type of day than like full 4-4 type of stacking in a lineup. It feels like you can get a lot of mini stacks on this slate that you feel really really confident in. All right, anything else here? If not, hottest hitters it is.
Nope, and you can start this off if you'd like. I know we're both gonna say the same player, so go for it.
Well, I don't. Who are you gonna say? Are we gonna say Jordan
You have
Walker?
to, you have to say Jordan Walker. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you do. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of O'Neal Cruz deserves to be up here. Gunnar deserves to be up here. But yeah, Jordan Walker, home run in 5 of the last 6, hit in 9 straight games, 2+ total bases in 7 straight games. Walker's been on a tear, and he didn't do well against Gavin Williams last night. I think he got his home run against the bullpen, right?
It was. Yes.
Okay, so at least I feel good about that. I still was right about that take. It's just, and I even mentioned that he could get one against the bullpen because it lined up pretty well there. But yeah, Walker continues to tear through the MLB, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yes, it has. From there, I mean, you can go a variety. It was basically like a repeat of yesterday, right? Because O'Neal Cruz got there. I want to bring up, well, you already kind of mentioned the Taylor Ward stuff. His former teammate and Mike Trout's starting to heat up quite a bit as well. He has in the last 3 games, he's had 5 hits. 2 of them have been doubles and 2 of them have been home runs, including 2 from last night. So there's that. And then on the other side, you have Aaron Judge, who has had 3 home runs in the past 2 games. So yeah,
Yeah, I will go over to. I'm trying to decide where I want to go. Um, I do want to talk about Boston really quickly because it's been. I know they got blown out last night, but we did see some offense generated towards the end of the game and after the blowout really happened. But Wilson Contreras has had a hit in 10 of the last 12. He's also had 2+ hits, runs, RBIs in 9 of the last 12. Trevor Story has had an RBI in 5 of the last 6 games. Also had 2 hits, runs, RBIs in 5 of the last 6 games. Both of them are starting to fall into form, and they get a pretty interesting matchup tonight. So definitely wanted to highlight those two.
yeah, I got a couple more. Bryce Terang has had double-digit fantasy points in 8 of the last 10 games. He hit 2 home runs in his last game, so we'll see how he fares against Gausman tonight. And then you got 2 shortstops from the same game, who I know you like at least one of them a lot, in Ellie De La Cruz, who has had he's had 5 hits in the last 2 games, a 4-game hitting streak. He's had 20 or more fantasy points in 3 straight games, including double digits in 80% of his last 10. So he's definitely cooking there. And then and actually hitting left-handed pitching well too, I should note. Maybe we'll talk about him more later. But I also want to bring this up for Willie Adames too, who we talked about a little bit at the front end of his streakiness last week. But 1 for 7 in the last 2 games is noteworthy. But at least he got a double in last night's game. Still though has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 doubles in the past 6 games. So he still technically is on that hot hitter scale, even if he's gone 1 for 7 in the past 2 games.
For sure. All right. Anything else here? If not, we'll head over to round table.
We could keep going, but I feel like we're wasting time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we could go on forever. There's so many good hitter streaks right now. Like, so many of these hitters are red hot. It would just be kind of a pain to go through all of them, though. So I think we went over the main ones that we really needed to. So let's head over to round table, Jared. For those who don't know how it works, Jared and I bring some of our top plays to the table to talk about. Those plays are in different categories, and those categories are our favorite ace, our favorite gas can, and our favorite hitter. We'll start out with aces. Jared, I'll let you go first. Where do you want to go?
Depends. Can I call this guy an ace? Because
I don't know. It's
his
up to
name
you.
is not really ace caliber. I love the spot for Jeff Springs tonight in Sacramento.
Oh, gross.
Now I know this is
You're
not
totally
gonna look
asking to
well
get
from
Sacramento'd here.
Yeah, I know. I totally am. He's had one start in Sacramento. He did pitch 6 innings of 1-run ball against Houston, which is notably his best spot of the year so far. But back-to-back games of quality starts and wins. He's gotten into the 6th inning in 2 consecutive games, 6+ strikeouts in 2 consecutive games as well. And yeah, he's limiting damage really, really well against righties to start the year. And he has the best strikeout matchup on paper in general. The Texas Rangers have struck out at 34.5% to left-handed pitching over the last since opening day. So not quite for 30 days, but we're almost there. 142 plate appearances, sits at the below average part of the pack in baseball, but at the same time, I think that's a good enough sample in what we're looking at. So a 54 WRC plus, it's just a better matchup and a really good strikeout matchup on top of it. So I know he's not the prototypical ace convo, but he's got one of the best spots on the card today.
Yeah, certainly isn't a pretty good spot overall against this Texas team that is really struggling right now against left-handed pitching. So can certainly get behind that spot. I'm just going to walk over to the other dugout and talk about Mackenzie Gore here because I think there's a lot of guys that I do want to bring up here. Like I thought about bringing up Mizorowski here for a little bit, but I think it's really hard not to just bring up Gore and all of the strikeout upside that he's had so far this season. We've seen 7+ strikeouts in each of the first 3 starts. We've seen 9 strikeouts in back-to-back starts. Last start we saw a very limited amount of hits allowed too. Like he has been rolling, and all those concerns about him in spring training have now been washed away completely. We were excited about this Athletics offense yesterday, but they kind of put up a dud yesterday against Eovaldi. I know Gore and Eovaldi aren't necessarily on like the same level of pitching at the end of the day when you're talking about overall talent. But Gore deserves to be in this conversation. He has an electric matchup here. He has the K stuff. He should be able to get Ks in bunches today. Athletics over the whole entire season have the 3rd worst WRC plus against lefties, the 4th worst K rate, and the 4th worst walk rate. I just don't know how you get a better spot for Gore than this. Now, I think we're both asking to get Sacramento here a little bit. I will say this is a very tough pitching environment in Sacramento, in this Athletics ballpark. It's going to be tough to keep the ball inside. Don't be shocked if Gore gives up a solo homer or 2 here and there, but I think overall the K upside is just too much to ignore.
Yeah, I already suggested to folks that it was a combined strikeout prop on Prize Picks at 12.5 for these pitchers, so liked that a lot. They're both elite. The only downside and the only red flag is that ballpark. So we'll see how she goes. We should at least, I know we can we'll try to stick to one, but like I gotta at least throw Yoshinobu Yamamoto into the mix here in a tremendous spot. Like if we're talking about the best spot for an offense, or sorry, a pitcher against right-handed. Sorry, if we're talking about the most elite spot for a pitcher against a team that's struggling to righties, it is definitely this New York Mets team who comes in over the last 2 weeks with the 3rd worst WRC plus in the league. And over their 6-game losing streak, Josh, the New York Mets have a 23 WRC plus, which is double the last place, or the second last place Chicago White Sox. So they are struggling tremendously right now without Juan Soto in the lineup. Nobody can hit anything. And I think Yoshi is not a lock for a quality start because I can never say that, but it's a very strong play today.
I will say, I think I've backed him in 2 of his starts this year, and neither one has gone as planned. So this is also a much tougher competition. He went up against Arizona, Toronto, and then Cleveland as well. But yeah, I can definitely get behind the matchup there. All right, let's go over to gas cans. Who do you got?
Can we play the game of like you can't use Miles Mikolas in the conversation?
Yes. I would say just don't use anyone we talked about already.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I will bring up Brady Singer because I've not liked what he's seen or what he's looked like to start the year. Allowed 3 earned runs to Boston, allowed 2 earned runs to Texas, allowed 5 earned runs to Miami, and that those final two games, no, Texas and Miami were in those in their stadiums and not in Cincinnati, where there's some nice hitting weather today specifically. I know that he gets a matchup if you filter over the last 2 weeks against the Giants, who do not look great in terms of what they look like against right-handed pitching. I'm just really, really excited about what these right-handed hitters bring to the table, specifically Willie Adames and Matt Chapman. You could throw in Luis Arias here too as well, but we've seen Singer been really, really poor against right-handed hitters. He's allowed 47% hard contact. The strikeout rate's under 15%. The home run per nine is sitting at almost 2, and I know that's a small sample size in general. But you can also factor in that while he's gotten some strikeouts against lefties, he has definitely given up some home runs, and the underlying hard contact there is over 60%. So it's only a matter of time before Singer gets shelled. This feels very much like, and I guess he's already gotten shelled, so this is what that is. But Mike Soroka was a pitcher late last week that we talked about who had done really well to start the year, and then his underlying hard contact numbers were off the charts. And then he gave up like 5+ earned runs in 2 innings to the Phillies. And this is not the same, but it's generally in that direction where I think Singer can get lit up here.
For sure. Can certainly get behind that. Having a tough time, man. I'm stuck between
It's
two
hard.
guys, and I don't know
It's
which
hard.
one to mention here. I will end up going with. Yeah, I'm going to go with Mick Abel here, man. I think the season has gone off to a really bad start for him. I know that there's a little bit of a rebound for him against Detroit where he was able to bounce back and allow 0 earned runs over 6 innings, but he still allowed 7 base runners, and the fact that he got out of that start without allowing any damage is pretty impressive. On the lucky side of things, not impressive. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's a really good pitcher. We saw against Tampa, he really struggled. We saw against Baltimore, he really struggled. I think this Boston team is like on the precipice of finally generating some offense. We saw Roman Anthony start to get right yesterday. Wilson Contreras and Trevor Story were two guys that I talked about in the hottest hitter segment that I think are starting to get right. I think overall it's just a matter of time before we see this Boston team really start to generate some powerful damage here. Saw Caleb Durbin also do really well yesterday. Cedane Rafaela continues to do really well. So like again, I think Red Sox are right on the precipice of being a really lethal offense. Mick Abel has been just bad enough to where I can believe in this Red Sox team today.
Yeah, I was on the unfortunate end of the. I was on the Tigers side of the Mick Abel game, so I understand how you
I
feel.
would be too. I actually looked at his line and I was like, how did I not take hitters against him? It must have been a Thursday or a Friday, though, if you're saying you were on that side of things, or an early game or something. But yeah, I probably would have seen that game log and done the exact same thing.
All right, where are we going? Top hitters.
Top hitters, where do you want to go?
I'm going to go. This I know it's gonna rub some members the wrong way because they're probably already done betting on him this year, but we're gonna go back to Jordan. This is a spot where I know that he completely busted in cores, and then he did redeem himself as hitters always do when they go 1 for 11 in cores and goes to Seattle, most pitcher friendly ballpark, and hits 2 home runs in the first 2 games of that series. He did finish 0 for 6 in tougher matchups at the back end of that series, but I feel very, very good about targeting lefties against Michael Lorenzen, whose only redeeming quality against left-handed hitters so far this year is that 59% ground ball rate, which is in its own right really respectable. But considering Jordan's got one of the lowest ground ball rates on the team or in MLB against right-handed pitching, 17% ground ball rate, like this, and Lorenzen's not walking guys either. Like this is going to be a spot where I think Jordan's got 2 extra base hit in his arsenal.
Could certainly get behind that. I have a really tough time. I'm debating between two hitters on the same team. Oh man, it's really tough. I am gonna go with Ellie De La Cruz here, though Eugenio Suarez gets a very honorable mention as a very, very good play here. Something we have not talked about. You brought up Brady Singer as a gas can here, but what we haven't talked about is like the hitting weather is really, really good in Cincy today. I mean, on top of it obviously being Great American, where you get a very small ballpark. We've called it the Great American Small Park for quite some time. Yeah, this is a great spot for Ellie. Like you already said on the show, I really like him. He's been hitting lefties really well this year. Good hard contact. Strikeout numbers are a little high, which you definitely do worry about against Robbie Ray. But Robbie Ray's hard or ground ball rate is dirt low against righties this season. The BABIP is only 161, so he's been getting lucky against righties, and he's still been allowing a good chunk of damage too. So I love this spot for Ellie De La Cruz. Sal Stewart fits into this conversation too. His hard contact rate has been sky high against lefties, and like I said, Eugenio has the really good BVP today too. So lots to consider here from this Reds team overall. I wish we got to talk about him on implied team totals because they are definitely up there as one of my favorite offenses of the day.
Both of them have the same implied total, or they did when we first started the rundown this morning. I love this game, and there's worlds where like the bottom of the orders actually wake up, and that's kind of what I'm counting on, because this is exactly one of those situations where like I don't think that they're gonna make DFS builds considering what time these games are at, but like you feel really good about 2 to 3 hitters on either side of this game, and if we get some of these offenses waking up at the bottom of the order, like we could see 12 plus runs in this game.
Yeah, we certainly could. All right, anything else here, Jared? If not, we'll head over to Two Minds Are Better Than One.
Before we move on, do you have any comments you want to say about Noah Schultz making his debut today?
I don't really have. I mean, I haven't really looked at the spot all that much compared to what you have. Did I see the correct comparison that like Noah Schultz is basically the next Randy Johnson? Because that's what I saw from MLB.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Lofty statement, obviously.
Obviously,
it's from a framework standpoint. Look, he's 6'10". He's like a legit NBA center. He actually has like the same frame as Cody Zeller. 6'10", 240, like probably could have gone professionally in basketball. We'll see though. The command has been an issue because he's had this knee issue dating back to last year, which vaulted his walk rate from like single digits to double digits from AAA last year. So that's a concern slightly. It's also just not a really good strikeout matchup against Tampa. So while Tampa is struggling against lefties for the most part, like they're going to have the Yandis and the Arandas and Camaneros to make this spot a little bit more difficult. I find it hard to fully buy into Schultz right away, though I do think that there's pretty awesome strikeout upside because I do think he sticks around for the foreseeable future into the summer here.
as long as he could stay healthy, right? Yeah, he's had a really good start to AAA. I did not see this.
Yes.
For a guy that has had walk problems in the past, he's gone 14 innings with only 2 walks. So that's really, really encouraging. He also had 9 strikeouts in his last AAA start, which is pretty impressive. He is dialed in. Over spring training, he wasn't that bad either. He definitely allowed a little bit of damage against the Milwaukee spring training team, but like overall, it was kept in check. Yeah, I think that Schultz is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what it looks like at an MLB level. For those who don't know the frame, he is 6'10", 240 pounds. So, big guy. And Randy Johnson comparisons seem pretty legit. All right, anything else here, Jared? If not, let's move on to Two Minds Are Better Than One.
Nope, just wanted to put that in there because it is a kind of important spot. Like, he is a top 40 prospect in MLB. He is the Chicago White Sox's top pitching prospect. So,
for sure. All right, let's head over to Two Minds Are Better Than One. For those who don't know how it works, Jared and I bring some of our top props, player props, to this parlay. I'll pick 2. Jared will pick 2. We'll put them all together with our goal of the parlay to have odds between plus 100 and plus 150. Ended up coming short. Brandon Nimmo screwed us last night. Just looked not checked in, to be completely honest. I don't know if you watched those ABs, but they were pretty bad. And then Gavin Williams also didn't come through for us. So hopefully we can come through tonight. Jared, I'll let you go first. Where do you want to go?
see. I want to be kind of off the board with this, though. I know it's not necessarily what we should be doing if we want to keep winning in this situation. I'm not going to go here, but I do like the righties for Seattle as they, for what it's worth, Josh. Seattle is the number 2 offense against right-handed pitching over the last week, so that should be noted as they continue to heat up. What I will do though is just take all reliable. We're going to go with James Wood to go 2 hits, runs, RBIs, and I'd be fine with even going 1 if you wanted to do that. Hits in 8 straight games. We didn't get to talk about Mitch Keller that much, but he is essentially, I'm not going to say this is mean to say, but he's like the watered down version of Skeens at this point. Like,
Damn.
I do think really, really good against righties, but his strikeout rate's under 10% against lefties, and that's going to put him in a dangerous spot against Washington, who, kind of cooled down a little bit, I guess, if you want to call it that. But they still have Wood and Abrams crushing right-handed pitching, so we'll go with all reliable and James Wood to get things kicked off here.
I guess, man. I mean, didn't they put up like 6 runs yesterday? Like, I know it was all against shit bullpen arms, but
the WRC plus against righties last 2 weeks isn't going to look great, but I still am putting them in pretty high order from there. Like, it's a 79 WRC plus.
it doesn't look great because Naciem Nunez and Drew Milas at the bottom of the lineup are horseshit. No offense. Obviously, MLB level players, very talented, but not playing well right now in that regard. This offense is definitely carried by James Wood. And CJ Abrams as well deserves to be mentioned in that conversation. Okay, I am going to go with... I did not come all that prepared for this segment. But we are going to go right back to the well and go with Xavier Edwards. I don't believe in Ronaldo Lopez all that much as a pitcher, especially when he has to face off against lefties. Xavier Edwards continues to be a dominant force. Had a good night last night. I expect him to have a good night tonight, too, against this pitcher. Let's go for 1+ hit runs RBIs for Xavier Edwards here.
Nice. I like that play quite a bit. I brought up Adames earlier. I think what I want to do after looking at a few more things is take another righty against Brady Singer, but instead we're going to take Matt Chapman for whatever we can get. 2 hits, runs, RBIs is fine. 1's fine as well. Talked about the reverse splits. Matt Chapman, 152 WRC plus against righties last 2 weeks, isn't striking out, isn't really walking either, so that makes our market direction fairly attainable. And then on top of that, for whatever you care about BVP, it can go both ways. We will throw that out and throw that in when necessary. As framework, any guesses on how many extra base hits Chapman has against Singer in 10 at-bats?
I'll guess 4.
He has 5, so he's 7 for 10, 3 doubles, 2 homers against Brady Singer historically. If you don't believe in BVP, that's fine, but that's pretty damn good.
That is pretty damn good indeed. All right, I'm going to this last game and talking about a guy we did not get to talk about all that much. And that's going to be Fernando Tatis for 1+ hits, runs, RBI. Look, I know the matchup isn't the best against Brian Wu, but like, there's reasons to believe that Wu hasn't been all that great this year, especially against righties, where the xFIP is at 4.92. The fly ball rate is at 63%, which I think if you're giving up that level of a fly ball rate and you're facing off against a guy like Fernando Tatis, whose hard contact rate over 50 plate appearances, so really good sample size against righties over these last 2 weeks, is 50%, you're going to have some trouble. Tatis is getting hot. He's not had, I don't think he's had a home run yet this year, or at least hasn't had a lot of them recently. I think he's just on the precipice of having a really good day today. Also, believe in BVP, don't believe in BVP, wherever you want to lean with that. But Tatis, 3 for 9 against Wu. 2 of those hits are home runs as well, Jared. So 1+ hits, runs, RBI for Fernando Tatis today is where we're going. So altogether, all of these are 1+ hits, runs, RBIs. So I'm not going to say it over and over again. But we got James Wood, Xavier Edwards, Matt Chapman, and Fernando Tatis. All of them for 1+ hit, runs, RBI. Comes out to plus 194, Jared. Not too shabby. All right, Jared, we got plenty to do. Like you said, we got NBA playoffs tonight, which I still need to take a really good look at. I took a brief look at it this morning, but need to take a more in-depth look at here soon. And we got the rest of MLB to provide. So give me your final thoughts, and let's get out of here, man.
Final thoughts, we'll circle back with weather for members. There's a couple of games, like I said, on the East Coast and Midwest that have some issues with potential rain coming late in those starts. Not going to affect many starting pitchers unless they're going for a no-hitter, but could affect some offenses we target tonight. We'll see how that goes. But, yeah, the two main decisions, one more important than the other, is that what do you do with Pittsburgh's offense and what do you do with Phillies with the opener situations in both games? And I think we got a pretty good read on things. We're starting to believe in Yankees more and more as we go along here against lefties. And from there, I think that this Giants-Reds game is really intriguing on a variety of angles. We didn't talk about a lot of solid pitching spots. Like, I think that we kind of, well, and again, we're not going to cover everything on a 15-game slate. There's not enough time. And frankly, we got to keep some stuff in the noggin for members anyway. But the Gausman-Misiorowski matchup is very interesting considering both offenses are missing a lot of key players. Like, we saw Yelich go to the IL, Churio's still on the IL, Vaughn's still on the IL, and then on Toronto's side, we know that Kirk and Springer are on the IL, so that game is watered down tremendously. We also didn't get to talk about Ryan Weathers. You mentioned Gore. There's a few other pitching spots that look pretty dang good on paper, so got a lot of things going on the slate. Feels like we should have quite a few home runs, but I would say temper your expectations compared to last night.
Yeah, I cannot emphasize it enough. And if everyone hits if everyone hits 2 home runs tonight, and I look stupid, then fine, feel free to at me, feel free to do whatever. But you're not going to see a night like last night very often. That is a once in like a 3-year type of night where you see 9 guys go off for 2+ home runs. I think you're lucky to see 2 guys go off for 2+ home runs in one night. So. Just temper your expectations. Don't go out there doing dumb parlays. Don't waste your money. There are better plays to be had. Yeah, it's a fun slate. I'm excited. I think pitching is really tough tonight. You mentioned a few guys. I'll throw Noah McLean in there as like a really interesting candidate. Okay. While the Dodgers have been really good against right-handed pitching with the second best WRC plus, they are pairing that with the 3rd worst K rate in the league. So Noah McLean can probably go out there and give up 3 earned runs, but he might be able to dial in 10 strikeouts as well. I am excited for the slate overall. I think there is a lot of hitting upside tonight, so keep that in mind. Pitching is definitely thin, to say the least. All right, anything else here, Jared? If not, let's get out of here, man.
No, we can get out of here. I haven't taken a look yet, so I guess that's the last thing we'll do is take a look at the slate tomorrow. And
yes, always a good idea.
Have some day stuff, obviously.
No weather updates.
Tomorrow we only have 3 day games, Josh, which is
hell yeah,
awesome. It's
fuck awesome. Yeah,
fuck yeah, for people to get the itch, and then we can focus on the rest of the day. So
yeah,
looks like we are podcasting Wednesday for sure. Probably not going to do Thursday.
What's Thursday's schedule look like?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 day games, 3 night games.
Oh, that's so lame. That's okay. I guess I'll take the day off. All right. Anything else here, Jared? If not, let's get out of here, man.
Nope. Let's get out of here.